Hi, my name is Brandon Perkins, and welcome to my post-LA odyssey of adventure. This all began about a year and a half ago when I was living in Los Angeles. I grew stagnant and uninspired, and I used to be, traveling and had all these crazy outdoor adventures and wonderful stories of things I had done before LA. I found myself in LA telling people about those stories that all happened before I moved to Los Angeles. And so after 5 years of living there, it bothered me that I didn't have any exciting stories to tell from my time in LA. So I made a bold move. I wanted to reunite with my adventurous self, and so I quit my job, sold my car, gave away most all my belongings, sold my furniture, and took off for a year of adventure. I went to Glacier Bay, Alaska for the summer. Shenandoah National Park for the fall. And then to the Virgin Islands for the winter. After completing the year of travel, I then came here to New Hampshire to decompress and spend time with family. This was my third summer that I spent in Glacier Bay, Alaska. And what I love about Glacier Bay is that when you go up bay camping trips, it's just you out there. It's you versus the wild. And being in nature like that, there is just no greater thrill. Let me give you some background on Alaska and what it was like there. So Glacier Bay is in the middle of nowhere. It's in southeast Alaska, and there's no roads going in or out. You have to fly in or take a boat in. In Glacier Bay National Park, the only human establishment is Glacier Bay Lodge. And so being there, you are already in the middle of nowhere. All that is around you is wilderness and brown bears, black bears. There's humpback whales blowing just in the water right outside the lodge. Glaciers, just mountains that just reach to the sky. It's the most amazing place. And one of the great opportunities there is that your days off, you can get dropped off by a day tour boat 45 miles up bay away from the lodge, where you're officially alone in the wilderness with the bears, with everything. It's you versus the wild, and it can get a little hairy at times. I'm going to show you some footage of a solo trip I did last summer. It's me up there and dealing with being in the middle of nowhere and never really knowing what can happen.
After I pulled everything up on the beach, I realized that where I'm lying right now are all these footprints. I don't know if it's wolf prints or mama bear and cubs, but look like dog prints. They're either newborn cubs or wolves, along with a bear, like big bear prints. Great. It's getting cold. I put on layers. But I figured out what the prints are. They're definitely grizzly bear cub tracks with mama bear, because they're too close together to be an adult wolf. Here. See, it's like, here's my hand. Totally cub tracks. Goes do-doom, 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 do-doom. They're way too close together to be anything but a baby grizzly bear. And here's mama bear. You can see her big old footprints, just like a lot of weight shifting that sand around. compared to these little teeny ones. Great. So we have Bear Trail, Brandonstead. I'm here. I'm too tired to write, too tired to read. It's like staring at the fire. And yeah, that's about it. Not much going on at this campsite. Anyway, folks, hopefully I sleep well and safely. I'll be fine. I'm getting ready to go to sleep, and there's a bear over there. It was just knocking down bushes, and it's made a bunch of noise. It's right over in there. There's my tent. Are you fucking kidding me? What do I do? This is my bear mace. On my finger. I'm speechless. So why did I not hear it run away? It's obviously there, it was crunching over a bunch of bushes. I made noise, and then the noise stopped. So the bear's still gotta be there. I would have heard it leave. Oh, God. Good morning. So, I survived the night. Didn't sleep very well. Actually, I fell asleep right away at first for 2 hours and woke up. And then the wind was blowing really hard, and I kept thinking I couldn't decipher if it was the wind flapping or a bear moving around. So I woke up a couple times and was banging on pots and terrified and just waiting for 5:30 in the morning to roll around so I could get up and pack up and get to the boat. It was just not the most amazing timing. My trip is over. Bye-bye 24-hour solo adventure.
The craziest adventure that I really want to share with you is another solo trip I did, 4 nights and 3 days in Glacier Bay.
Okay, so my crazy ass just got dropped off for another solo camping trip. I found out yesterday that I had the next 4 days off. And of course, no one else in the lodge ever gets days off. And I'm not gonna sit around Browntown. I came here to come kayaking. Employees still aren't allowed on the boat I work on that dropped me here. But I talked the captain into doing it, even though we're breaking all the rules. And so here I am, the only employee this summer, really, that's been up bay. This is my second trip. And it's solo, 4 days, 3 nights. It's supposed to rain. It's supposed to be a little stormy. I'm gonna be kayaking 80 miles. Tonight I'm gonna kayak 20 miles up the east arm to McBride Glacier, my favorite spot, the spot where I want my ashes spread when I die. And I'm gonna kayak there, camp next to the glacier. Then tomorrow, kayak all the way back down, and then down the main arm of the bay. I'll probably set camp before then. But then I kayak all the way down through the Beardsleys, back to the lodge Monday, probably early evening, in time to have a beer on the deck. So I just loaded, double kayak. I couldn't even get a single, so I'm gonna be paddling extra hard. But I'm ready for the challenge. Probably gained like 20 pounds since I've been here. All we eat is fried food, and it's time to burn a calorie. Anyway, I'm almost to my first break point. There's porpoise out here. That's Casement Glacier. Wet and hungry. I'm getting hungry. I have 12 PB&Js packed.
I almost complete the 20 miles to where I want to camp. I'm right by White Thunder Ridge and McBride Glacier, and it's at that point where I start to get a little concerned. My elbow and my shoulders are killing from paddling that bathtub of a kayak 20 miles up bay, and I start getting concerned, being like, I still have 50 more miles to paddle to get back to the lodge. It's just me up here. And what happens if I wake up tomorrow and I can't do it? So that's the first thought that entered my head. Second thing is, as I get close to the opening of the inlet that goes to McBride Glacier, there's all of these icebergs. As the tide goes out, tidal changes in Glacier Bay are some of the largest in the world. They can be as big as 25 vertical feet. And so this little inlet becomes a raging river that shoots icebergs out at incredible speeds. And so if you were to try and even enter, you would get smashed. So I pull up my kayak and I kind of wait for the tide to, for slack tide, for it to calm down. And then I kind of kayak in up to McBride Glacier. There's a beach kind of right before it. Pull my kayak up, and in 2003, when I was there last, I had the perfect campsite, and I was insistent upon putting my tent in that same spot, even though it had started raining and I knew a storm was coming. This is my campsite. It's pouring rain, and there's puddles in my tent. This isn't turning out entirely the way I planned. Don't know that I packed enough clothes for this. I'm actually mostly concerned about my wrists, and hopefully I can paddle back. Cause fuck, if I'm stuck out in this and my tent keeps leaking like it does, I'll be concerned. Anyway, I'm gonna go make breakfast and get in the kayak ASAP. And all night long you can hear, you know, the crashing and boom from the glaciers and the icebergs as they splash into the water, and it's really just an amazing setting. So last night, it's not so amazing the rain kicked in. I knew it was supposed to rain, but I didn't necessarily pack entirely well enough. A drink of water. Whew. Anyway, yeah, I woke up, there were puddles in my tent, and I wish I had brought warmer clothes. I don't really have much for my legs. It's a little concerning considering I still have 50 miles to kayak before I'm back to the lodge, and I'm just out here on my own. My tent's leaking, water puddles in my tent. My wrists hurt, but I should be able to get through. Man, now it's more of just an exit strategy. I'm not interested so much in hanging out if it's gonna be raining like this. Anyway,
I'm gonna head out here in a minute and do some kayaking. But yeah, this was my campground last night. These icebergs, glaciers over there, my tent was up there. Good times. Over and out.
I was super concerned. But then packed everything up, made breakfast down in the rain, and got back in the kayak and continued paddling. I tied bandanas around my elbows because the pain was, so great to kind of help relieve that, and then headed out into the bay. This time at high tide, the icebergs all lift, and they crackle and they like smash against each other, and so it can be really dangerous. You know the saying, just the tip of the iceberg? Well, that saying exists because above the water, you just see the tip of the iceberg. The majority of it is underwater. And when it's underwater in the salt water, it's melting. And you never know when a piece will come dislodged and come shooting up underneath you. And it could come up and knock over your kayak, or the whole iceberg can shift. And it can become a very dangerous situation. If it shoots up underneath you, you can flip your kayak and instant hypothermia in that water with that ice. So kayaking out, I'm pretty fearful that that could happen. So I kayak around these icebergs, finally get out into the main arm of the east arm of the bay, and just kind of relieved to get there. Continue paddling, and then I round this one corner and the storm is there full force. The winds, it's like horizontal rain coming at me. Goose Cove is where I was at, and then the waves are white-capping swells coming from all directions, breaking off the rocks behind me, coming behind me, the sides, the front, and I'm literally feeling like I am whitewater kayaking in a river, but I'm not. I'm in Glacier Bay. If I flip, I'm hypothermic and I could die. So here I am, struggling to control the rudder of the kayak and constantly concerned with each second and where the waves are coming from. No time to really think about anything else except surviving that moment. And here I am getting past that and continuing on with these white capping swells and just praying like the storm will let up. I still have like 10 miles to go before my planned campsite, and so I need to keep pushing forward. But if I stop, the wind sweeps me backward at 3 times my forward speed. So I'm making like no progress. At one point, I get frustrated and pull my kayak to shore and, admit defeat for the day. It's like, I'm not making any progress. How am I going to get out of this east arm? I'm looking for boats to flag down for help. Like, I will be stranded in the east arm of Glacier Bay and I can't get out with the storm being the way it is. So I really start getting nervous. And also standing there, I start shivering. I don't have enough layers, so I'm using my life vest as a layer to keep warm. I start walking around looking, a place to put my tent and just wondering what I should do. And then I find this little pond, and right by there, mind you, Glacier Bay, you don't see other people. There's no one ever there, but miraculously, underneath this grass, I find this abandoned rain poncho. And so to me, it was like a beacon of hope, like in, shivering cold, not enough layers in the middle of the storm, I find a rain jacket. And so I grabbed that, put that on, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna continue on. So I get back in the kayak and just keep paddling. Get a few more miles, then I really pull over for the night, still dealing with these white capping swells and just like hoping I don't flip. I can't even express that enough, how dangerous it was, and I was just fearing for my life.
So this is the end of day 2. I'm in my tent. It's been nasty weather all day. I would have recorded more earlier, but it was so foggy and rainy, and actually it's so insane, the experiences I had, that I was literally fearing for my life on numerous occasions. So couldn't even pull out the video camera to film it. Wow. It was like whitewater rafting in a kayak, in the middle of the water where if I flip, I'm dead. And, man, I hope I can get back to the lodge in time. I'm still in the east arm. I'm supposed to be out tonight. But the wind and the waves, they totally stopped me. The rain, it's not been enjoyable. I'm still having a good time though. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kind of the more excitement, the better, almost. But I think when I said bring it on Alaska for this trip, I didn't mean as much as Alaska has brought. This has been... I'm just glad I've been trained in the outdoors, because if I weren't trained, I'd probably be dead. No joke. Alaska does not mess around. Anyway, here I am in bear territory. Yeah. Gonna go to sleep and wake up super early. Even though I'll be paddling against the tide early in the morning, I gotta make up for lost time. So that's the plan. Wake up early, kayak, get home safely, alive. Anyway, I'm exhausted. Can't you tell? Over and out.
I'm hoping the storm will subside by the next morning. It doesn't. I get up, the wind's still blowing, and it's still white-capping swells, and I'm just like, oh my God, am I ever going to get out of this east arm? So I hop in the kayak and then begin paddling again, and paddling, and paddling, and paddling. Just sheer determination. Every 10 minutes I might stop for 30 seconds to let my arms rest, but literally I cannot stop. I'll blow backwards, so I continue for hours and hours just paddling, trying to get out of the east arm of Glacier Bay. Finally, I reach the main arm, and I still have 30 miles to go back to the lodge and one more night of camping. And I find this rocky beach, and I'm like, perfect. I'll pull my kayak up, take a break, have a bite to eat, pull my kayak up, get out of the kayak, and then not even 30 seconds later, the kayak slips on the rocks and shoots down to the water. And so I'm running down the beach and have to dive for the nose of the kayak so it doesn't get swept away. It's like, if I don't have my kayak, I'm completely screwed. Not only am I in the middle of Alaskan wilderness, but I'm stranded completely and no way to get anywhere. So I got the kayak, got back in, and continued paddling on. And then, of course, fog fills the bay and I lose sight of all shores, so I have to navigate with a compass. And I'm just blown away by the absurdity of everything and every obstacle Alaska is throwing my way. And then another fear, when you're in the fog and you can't see the shores is a humpback whale going to come up? They're like everywhere in Glacier Bay. You never know where they're going to be, and if they come up below you, you can flip, and again, hypothermia. So I continue on, and hours later, finally get to North Sandy Cove, which is a beautiful spot. It's green and these islands, but it's closed for camping because of the high population of black bears. I pause there, I take a break, and continue on because I need to get out of the closed camping zone, the black bear area, so I can set up camp. This is too gorgeous to pass up getting the camera out for. But I've been kayaking for pretty much 12 hours now because yesterday was so awful. I made no progress, and today, oh my God, this is bad. The number of times where I feel like I could have died, God, I have to tally them up. It's a lot. Anyway, I took this out for that
but I've been just paddling straight the whole time. Didn't care to do superfluous things besides staying alive, beating hypothermia, kayaking. So saying hi and continuing paddling. Gotta find camp soon. Over and out.
Now at this point, it's been like 14 hours of paddling. I'm exhausted. I've only stopped a couple of times. And so I continue on. The sun's setting, it's getting dark, and I'm really tired. At the end of the closed camping zone, there's like this cliff that crashes into the water. And so I have my sights set beyond that, thinking black bears, you know, they're not gonna be able to get around that cliff in the water. And so in my mind, there wouldn't be bears there, but you really never. Finally get to shore, and then, you know, it was amazing. The storm finally started to subside, and the sun, the final rays of the setting sun kind of came through the clouds, and it was just finally like the weather I had been looking for the whole trip.
So this is my final, hopefully final, solo camping trip, camping spots. I am south of South Sandy Cove, because there's I think it's closed because there's so many black bears there. And the spot I picked shouldn't have any. There's like not even a spot for a tent. Sucks. But whatever. Whew, I did it. I got out of that GD East Arm. I never thought that was gonna happen. I was really worried. And I can see Bear Track Cove, which is where I was supposed to be tonight. Just like maybe 4 or 5 miles. So I'm not far off course. Anyway, my God, I need a drink. 12 hours.
The next morning, my final morning, I woke up and it was beautiful. I could hear the sea lions on South Marble Island barking. The water was like glass. I got in the kayak and just had the most beautiful day paddling through the Beardsley's Islands and saw some humpback whales, and then a couple of killer whales came up by my kayak and saw all these seals. It was an amazing final day, and then finally rounded the corner to the final cut, the final waterway back to the lodge. And I couldn't believe it. Like, against all odds, I survived. I survived a storm. I paddled a double kayak on my own for 70 miles. I overcame so many obstacles, and it really taught me, you know, how determined I am. When I set my mind to something, you know, like, I will do it and I will succeed. And that's what I did. And I don't think that I don't know how many people could have done what I did. Like, I couldn't believe what I had done. But it was an amazing adventure. And I have millions more stories like that from all of my summers in Alaska.
Well, here we are in the fall of 2011 now. What is next for you, Brandon Perkins?
What's next for me? Making the circle complete, I am going back to LA, which was the origin, the place that I began and left to go off on the skier. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, you know, I've found my passion for life and adventure again, and just inspired again, and like ready to create some great stuff in my life. And so I'm excited to return and see what it's like now after my adventures and going back and having these experiences, and you know, going back and doing something with that.
That's great. When you leave New Hampshire, you know, which is where you were born and grown up, is there any kind of a legacy that you're going to leave when you leave here this time? Anything that you have done that you want to be remembered for?
Yeah, actually, since I've been home with family in New Hampshire and decompressing from this year of experiences, you know, I created this video, this public service announcement, to bring awareness about local independent businesses and their impact, their positive impact on the local economy and local community. And so that video, you know, I have a premiere for it in Concord at Red River Theater, November 4th at 7 p.m. to show that and bring awareness about, you know, how important they are and what they mean to the community. It's kind of a documentary. It shows, you know, interviews with the community and all of that in it. So yeah, that is one thing I am, you know, leaving behind here. Hope that positively impacts the downtown area. And it's also something I can bring out to LA. It has a universal application, and that it's a message that can, you know, can resonate kind of anywhere in the country.
Yeah,
So.
I agree with you. I think you know, currently in people's minds everywhere are how important it is to, you know, support your local business. You know, the guy that comes and, you know, fixes something in your house, or when you go to, you know, think about your new dress, you know, where are you going to purchase that, and having a conscious about all of the decisions that you make in your life and how that does impact, you know, your local community, U.S. workers in general, and all of that. So having a conscience. So if that's what your film, you know, puts out there, that's a very timely kind of a film, and I wish you much luck with it. And I agree, it's applicable anywhere. So the fact that it was taken here in Concord, New Hampshire, you know, kind of based on the local businesses is great, and its applicability is universal, like you say. So congratulations, and
Thank you.
wish you luck with that.
Yeah. So yeah, one final note is my blog, an online collection of all my stories from my year of travel, and it has videos and everything on it. So yeah, anyone can log on and see the adventures I've had in the past year and kind of follow it, read along, and see what the experience was like.
Great. Well, we look forward to see what you're going to do in the future.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah, one final thing. So what's ahead for me? I'm resurrecting the online blog for the cross-country adventure. A friend of mine from LA is flying back to join me, and we are heading across country. We're going to stop, you know, wherever we see cool signs that point to something that interests us, and kind of check it out. So I have no idea what that adventure is going to bring, how it's going to unfold, but I'm going to resurrect the blog and write about those stories, upload videos, and continue the journey till I get to the home point, which was also the beginning point of this whole adventure.
Great. And your blog again?
Oh, www.northernlightsandothersite.com.